22 West Radio is 22westmedia.com and 88.1 FM KKJZ HD3 Long Beach, Los Angeles. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Golden Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob Flores, and today we have a new guest. At this time, I would like my guest to please introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Christian Wiseman, and I am the chief engineer here at 22 West Radio.
Excellent, excellent. So, what I like to do is I like to start off with having my guests start off with what was life growing up? Tell me about K-12.
All right, so K-12 that was an interesting time for me. I really wasn't the best of students. I got, especially in like elementary school and middle school. Especially elementary school. Let's start there. I usually got in trouble a lot. So much so, my mom was known by her name and face in the office, and they just were like, "Oh, go ahead, you know where to go." And so it was an interesting time, but it was still pretty enjoyable, and I was still pretty good as far as academics go. I just got myself into a lot of trouble. With middle school, things kind of started, loving out a little bit more. My time in middle school, I tended to really just keep to myself because, I was getting bullied pretty bad in middle school. It was not that fun, but I tended to, stay to myself, and I mainly volunteered in two places. I stayed either in the band room, since I was in the band class, or I would volunteer in the library.
What did you play?
I played percussion in band. And I also play a little bit of piano as well. And so they mainly stick me on like anything with percussion instruments, or have me do the xylophone or the orchestra bells, things like that. And they had me play timpani once, which is pretty fun. Also really boring because the song they had is "Do." It required a lot of rests, so there was like about 20 measures of rest that we had to keep count of, and then know when to just do basically a drum roll at a certain point, then another 30, 40 measures of rest. So I'm just standing there just waiting for my turn to play.
How did you get introduced to music?
I've always really been into music. First when I had my parents gave me a little toy piano keyboard, and my grandmother told me a story that she was babysitting us one time, us meaning myself, my brother, and my sister, and she would play something on the piano, and then I would play it right back to her. It's like when I was 3 or 4, and she said she had never seen anything like that ever, and I just been into music ever since. Really, I also got a lot of toy instruments as a kid. In church, they gave me like a toy tambourine, so I would just be banging that tambourine. Really not too much rhythm, just banging it. And I just basically just stuck with music, and I have a lot of fun with it.
Cool. I was wondering, I noticed that, like in the movie Drumline at first, where the main character, he's really good at it, and like he didn't know how to read the symbols yet. Did that happen with you as well?
Well, it's still happening right now. I know how to... Reading music is kind of difficult for me right now. I know the basics of it. It's like I know, this is a quarter note, this is an eighth note, half note, whole note. And I also know where things are on the treble and bass clefs. But when it comes to actually reading music at a decent speed, I am definitely not that great at it. I like to tell people, I joke around and say that I sometimes read music like a 5-year-old does when they're just learning to read regular words. So that's something I do need to work on a bit more, but that's a hard thing to learn. It really is.
How did you cope with the bullies?
Well, that's the thing. Music was definitely one of the big things. So, I had a keyboard at the house, so I'd always play music, play something. At one point, they had me in an on-campus suspension program because I guess they had like a zero tolerance of fighting or anything like that. So, if you try to fight some bully, both people going to the suspension program. But they had me in, it was like, I guess the choir room at the time because they weren't using it. And they had a piano up in there, and I just asked if I can go ahead and play the piano up in there. And they just let me start playing it, and they told me that just, like my entire expression changed, and like it was like all nice and calming in that room for just the time I was playing. And it's something that always is big with me. The other thing I would do, I also, had I saw psychiatrists a lot, which, because I also had ADHD, so I'd also talk to my psychiatrist a lot, and we go through a lot of different things, and that would help me out.
And so did you talk to your parents like each time the bully situations happened and stuff?
Yeah, I did. I definitely did. And they would show up at the school. They would talk to the principal, talk to the vice principal as well. So my parents were really supportive, and they would do what they could do. And at some points, they would also, every so often, they also find the kid and talk to the kid too. And but my parents were really, really, really supportive, and that's one of the biggest things that I'm grateful to have parents that were as supportive as they were, because either way, they would always be even if it's a good thing, they'd always show up at the school to see how everything was going, and just to make sure we were all right. And I know there's people in my class that weren't able to have that, but I'm just grateful that my parents were super supportive of me and still are right today, and that's just a blessing.
What would you say was your favorite subjects during middle school and elementary?
Ooh, definitely math. Math was my favorite, and we had music too. Music was up there as well, but they didn't have too many music classes. But math was my favorite, and I know that's really weird to people. I can tell that's weird to you too, Rob. I'm assuming math wasn't your favorite.
No. The only equation I know is math plus me equals slushy brain.
But it's not really that bad. I mean, with math, I was one of the better people in the class with math. And so I pretty much, was able to understand the formulas. I memorized most of the formulas, and I was able to do pretty good with it. And so math was definitely pretty high up there as far as my favorites list. Science was also pretty cool. We didn't do too many experiments, like labs and whatnot, but no, math was pretty high up there for me. Which it makes sense though. I'm the engineer here, so to like math, that's kind of like liking water for everybody else. that math isn't for you?
No, I was.
What were you? What was your subject?
It was a cadet program in middle school.
All right.
Yeah, so we had a California Cadet Corps, and then when you get to high school, they have the JROTC.
Okay.
So yeah, I was a cadet, and that was also because of bullying. I got bullied pretty bad, and one day PE teacher's like I guess he's in his mind he's probably like, boy, I wish I could really keep an eye on this kid and make sure he doesn't get all messed with, but maybe it's for the best. I recommend he goes to the cadet program. So yeah, he just felt like I think you would really enjoy the cadet program. And
Did you?
He put me there. Yeah, he transferred me. It wasn't really a request. He literally
so
put in a
so
transfer.
he's like, you're going regardless.
Yeah, he's like, starting tomorrow, you're going to this classroom. I'm like, okay. Hey, the teacher's wearing this green outfit and stuff. Like, okay.
So what was it, Army program?
Yeah.
All right.
So I was like, oh, okay, because yeah, the California Cadet Corps is sponsored by the National Guard. So yeah.
All right.
So yeah, it was very different being a cadet for a while.
Yeah, that wouldn't do well. I wouldn't do well in that program. My brother did well in the the JRTC in high school, but that's not really a program that I would enjoy. I don't really like people telling me what to do.
So for your 2 years required of PE, did you do marching band?
No, unfortunately, we didn't have marching band. I wish we did. So I just had to do regular PE, and I got through that. but so I'm not really the most athletic. But I'm sure if we had marching band, I definitely would have gotten involved with that because it always seems like something that'd be cool to try. You know, 'cause I don't always get a chance to play with a group of musicians, and I basically kind of jump on any time I can do that. I always jump onto that because it's something about being able to play with a group of musicians. It's just the best feeling ever to have you have someone on drums over here, then you have another person on on guitar, then you have a keyboard, a singer, and all these elements. It's just one of the best feelings ever. And then sometimes you just have to stop it and take it in while still playing, because you can't stop playing, but you have to just while playing, go on autopilot, just stop and listen to everything, take in the whole moment. And it really is an amazing thing when you have all these musicians just on the same key, at the same time, the same tempo, all playing the same song, and it's sounding amazing. That's a feeling that, it's hard to replicate, and when it happens, it is just the absolute best thing ever. There's nothing like it. It really is not.
Very cool. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Students, are you looking for some free and exciting entertainment and prizes? All Long Beach State athletic games are free for all current students with a valid ID, and you can win prizes for just showing up. Check out longbeachstate.com/students for all of the details. Go Beach!
Let's take a pop quiz. Which of the following are some efficient techniques of recycling? A. Taking the bottle cap off plastic bottles before recycling them, since only the actual bottle is recyclable. B.
About me, it's hard.
Crushing material cans to fit as many cans into the
It goes
recycling
by
bin
quick.
as possible.
So it's like just doing one question at a time.
It has go.
Placing all of your
17
electronic
has
waste
already
into a
passed.
box.
Yeah.
Wow.
Disposing of them at your local
You're right, it does go
Goodwill
by quick.
Yeah.
or certified e-waste center. Or D. All of the above. The answer is D. All of the above. For more information, email ASI Recycling at asi-recycling@csulb.edu.
Bonjour to them.
You have the wrestling show after this one, right?
Yeah.
Just accordions and waltz.
Actually, I've been meaning to also. I need to redo my promos
Mhm.
since I'm in a new day and time. But there's certain elements I want to keep in it, like the golden spotlight one. All I want to do is change the end and put the day and time. And then I like what Charles did, where he had the opening bell in the beginning of the Beyond the Ropes one.
Yeah.
And then the end, he put like cheering and a pin count.
Yeah.
So I want to keep that.
I like that. That was
As well as
a good promo.
Yeah.
French club and anything related to the French culture.
We got like some new shows now.
Yeah.
Join us for
I just recently finished a promo myself for Bliss with me and Zach's show. We did not Zach's show, he did Beat Center. So we just switched times, so we just did a joint promo. promoting that. That was pretty fun.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, on 22S Radio, located at California State University, Long Beach. At this time, I'm back with my guest. So, we were talking about bullying and stuff, and I was wondering, you know, I didn't really have that many friends in like middle school. I was wondering, like, what was that like, you know, during the time of bullying and stuff too, like as far as like having, you know, friends and stuff.
Well, in middle school is when I was mostly bullied. I think I may have had about 1 or 2 friends. that
Same.
talked to.
I only had one.
And most of the time, I just kept to myself. You know, I would either like just read somewhere, find a good spot just to sit down and read, or I would just go to the library for the lunch hour. And then when they didn't let us go to the library during lunch hour anymore, I just somehow snuck there. And I just, you know, just relaxed, and I was able to get a lot of stuff that I wanted to read during the lunch hour. And so that was my escape, and I really enjoyed, you know, just being able to just read. I don't get a chance to read too much for pleasure anymore because we're both in school. We know how the reading is. They just give you readings just to read and
I don't read unless it's required for homework.
same. I'm right there with you. And unfortunately, especially this semester, most of my teacher, I'm not going to say the class or the name in case they're listening, but they require that I read everything, and I don't. But yeah, I don't get a chance to really read for pleasure too much, just because of different timing and assignments and whatnot. So that's something I do want to do.
Pleasure for me is saying classes canceled, don't go.
I know, right? Oh man, I kind of wish today's class is canceled. And the other thing I do, in high school I really wasn't bullied that much because we went to like a magnet high school, California Academy of Math and Science. So everybody there pretty much only really had time for their lesson, and that's about it. But I was able to, deal with that a lot better. But middle school, that was rough, and just reading was basically my escape.
So in high school, this is a new question I've just started asking people, but you know how in the movies you got like certain groups in the lunch area? You got the people, you got the athletes, the Yu-Gi-Oh card playing ones, Pokemon cards, the rockers. Where do you associate during lunch in high school?
Okay, my high school was a little bit different because it was a magnet high school, so pretty much everybody there was pretty much nerdy. We had a few people that were athletic as well, but for the most part, things are kind of separated athletically. As weird as that sounds, so you had like the robotic students over there doing stuff. You had like all the math folks over here. Some people looking at doing medical stuff. They were all together. Engineering folks were all together, and I still pretty much stayed with myself. For the most part, but I also had a handful of friends that we would just hang out, talk to them. We just every once in a while play some basketball, whatnot, or just chill somewhere in like our study area. But yeah, it was high school was pretty chill, especially once we got the off-campus pass. Or I really didn't go off campus too much because I didn't have a car, but my high school was on the campus of Cal State Dominguez. So I would just go over to the student union or the library and just chill over there, and do that for the lunch hour before coming back to the campus for classes and whatnot. Then eventually I got involved with a jazz band that we had on campus, and we just have sometimes we do the practice during lunch, and other times we do some stuff after school as well for our practices. So that's pretty much what I would do during lunch, and pretty much stay with those folks.
Did you get to perform for events?
Yeah, we performed for a few events. We did, I think, maybe one off-campus gig somewhere. We got invited to a nursing home, and we were basically the house band for that, which was so much fun. And we just went and just performed for these old people, basically, and they loved it. I guess they don't get a chance to get too much music, but we did songs like Tequila, we did Viva La Vida, and we did some improv stuff there too. It was a fun event. It was just nice and chilling, and we just did things. And we also performed they had a big celebration every year called Holidays Around the World, where they basically, you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, any other holidays around the winter season. We'd have a big celebration for it. So one year we performed that, and we did the song All I Want for Christmas Is You, and I was supposed to have been on piano for that, because we had two pianists, myself and another lady. But what had happened was, I guess, we had a drummer, and for some reason he decided that, all I want to do is play Christian music. And when we said we're going to do All I Want for Christmas Is You, from what I understand, I guess he had like a hissy fit or something, and this dropped the jazz band altogether. And I don't know if there was any other drama that happened that I wasn't aware of, which is very well possible. So I ended up, but the long story short is I ended up being the drummer for that event, and which worked too because I'm also a drummer. So I was able to show some of my drumming on on an electrical set, which was kind of weird, but it worked out.
Cool, cool. So, before that, like, okay, were you taking lessons also, or was it just like the classes within like K-12?
As far as music classes,
Yeah, to like learn all the instruments.
yeah, I took some lessons. It's been a pretty big mixture. So I took a handful of lessons from one person, that the music teacher at an elementary school, Mr. Holder. He found out that I could play and started giving me some piano lessons, and that was pretty fun. I enjoyed that, and we would do the lessons until basically I guess he got transferred, which sucked. I was sad about that because I enjoyed the piano lessons with him. Then I also learned stuff from people at my church. Like my grandma taught me stuff. Another church member taught me some other stuff. Who was our choir director, Sister Riti. She taught me things. The organist at the church, Sister Joyce. She taught me other things as well. Then I had another person that I learned some stuff from at another church. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. But we also had some lessons through him. And his lessons were kind of loose. He basically really just taught a song. He really did. He taught a handful of fingerings, but he really didn't have the time to really just do one-on-one because he had other people he was teaching at the same time. So, but that was all right. And other things I just kind of picked up and learned as I went. Just kept trying things out, playing things by ear. YouTube wasn't a big thing at the time, so I just basically stuff I just pick up. So that's pretty much how I've learned for the most part. And I kind of want to get some of the more formal training at some point. Whenever I can get some money for that, because that's expensive. But I pretty much just play by ear and learn as I go.
So, did you find that it was rare to find like piano players like in K-12, like considering like marching band and stuff just has like clarinets and like drums and like most of like the flute stuff and like the saxophones and stuff like that?
At my schools, yeah, it was kind of rare. Not too many people play piano. And if they did play, they probably just did a lot of banging on it. So that was kind of a rarity. When I was in band in middle school, we had some I was like maybe one of two people that could play piano decently well, but they only really had me play. I was pretty much like the main person that could really play. So we did they had some type of assembly thing that they had us do, and they had me play for the school choir. And they remixed the song. They did Hit the Road Jack. They remixed that to some test taking song, changed the words to the answer, some blah 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 blah. I don't know what all was up in there. But they had me play the piano for the choir. And then they brought anybody else that was pretty high up on the band, and they just brought them up and just started playing with them. So
Cool.
that was pretty fun.
So I was wondering, we've had so many different historic musicians and stuff, but I noticed there's also different genres within piano and how Ray Charles and Jerry Lee Lewis, their styles were cool, and at the same time certain people they were no, that's not it's out of the norm to have that wild cool speedy style. What do you think of that?
I kind of love it. I love seeing what people do with your instrument. If they can make it weird, do something different that's never been done before, it really is amazing. It kind of blows my mind. Especially, we have a show here, for example, Outstanding Music with Dr. Earl Beecher, and he had this one piano player named Paul Smith, And there was video. He showed me video of this man playing the piano, and some of the stuff that this man would do, he could like play like pretty much any note, and he would go like up and down the keyboard a few times, and wouldn't miss a note. And that's when seeing people do that is really amazing. And the dude could play pretty much any style. And that's something that I kind of do aspire to be able to do at some point. Because I primarily play mostly gospel. You know, 'cause I'm in church. I play a lot in my church, and of course with that style, you have some elements of blues and some elements of jazz mixed into gospel style. But to be able to play different things, that's something I kind of aspire to be able to do. It's really cool.
Cool. I was wondering, people say some debate whether junior year or senior year was the most stressful. What was that like for you?
Senior year was pretty chill for me, because I was basically on my way out, and we didn't have to do all the tests and whatnot. Junior year was pretty stressful because that's when they had us do the SAT and all. They had us do all this other these other tests and whatnot. And we took AP exams in junior years. We took some in senior as well, but as far as like the tests for college and whatnot, it was definitely more stressful in junior year. And they had to do the PSAT, but they had to do that freshman year. So that was once we did that, that was done. We didn't need to do that anymore, which is great. But yeah, I'd say definitely the junior year. That was the harder one.
Eventually, you know, when senior year, there's all these activities and stuff. Did you get to
Mhm.
participate in all that, like prom and all that?
Oh yeah, no, I made sure I got involved with everything I can get involved with, and I had a good time. We had our senior night, which you know most people do they'll go to Disneyland or they do Six Flags, but we went to the Camelot Fun Zone, and that was an experience because we rented out the entire place to ourselves. So it was just people from my graduating class of about 200. And they had unlimited laser tag, unlimited video games, they opened the pool, there's mini golf on the site. And we would just be able to just chill, have a good time, play some games, and we basically did it all night. And that was really enjoyable. And then prom, of course, I don't usually do too much dancing, but that was pretty fun as well. And we had our prom at the Hotel Maya, and we just enjoyed our time there. And yeah, I can make sure I got involved with all the fun senior events because I was going to enjoy it.
Cool. We'll be right back after this break.
Did you know that 71% of students at Long Beach State receive financial
I'll be
aid?
back.
In 2016, Long Beach State awarded $12.3 million in scholarships. Not only that, each year more than 1,500 students are served by disabled student services, leaving no barriers in their path to an education. At the beach, we know no barriers. It's a philosophy that applies to everything we do.
Did you know that more than 20% of students on Cal State campuses experience food insecurity while in college? Cal State Long Beach is doing something to help that with the Beach Pantry, which is located on the 4th floor of the Student Union in room 302 and is open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and again from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Stop by for some food, snacks, and school supplies.
I'm Earl Beecher, and I'd like to invite you to join me every Monday morning from 10 until 12 noon for
Oh, so that's
outstanding
Yeah.
music.
Beach Center, Blessed
You know,
Lord.
they're kind
Yeah.
enough, they let me play anything I want here, so just join in and listen to the variety
I like this promo.
on 22 West Radio.
Very calming.
Have you met Earl?
I don't think so.
He only comes in on Monday, but he's super nice.
Bless the Lord, and why can't I listen to Beach Center?
Well, we switched hours. You can now listen to Bless the Lord at 2 p.m. and you can can listen to Beach Center or some beat gospel music at 1 p.m. So after you listen to some boring sports, I listen to Bless the Lord here on 22 West Radio and 22westmedia.com. Have some fun. Adios every Wednesday. Woo!
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Golden Spotlight. I'm your host, Rob Flores, and remember, you can find all interviews at robfloresmedia.com. I archive all my interviews. Okay, and back with my guests. So, senior year, eventually everyone reaches the point where they ask themselves, what's next? What school do I want to go to? What major do I want? What was that like for you?
Well, that was interesting. Originally, my plan was I applied for 2 schools only because I didn't feel like doing all the applications to everywhere and all these other places because, they charge for all that. So I'm like, I'm not doing all that. Excuse me. So I applied to 2 schools, one being here at Cal State Long Beach and the other being University of Miami. And my plan originally was to go to University of Miami and I wanted to study meteorology, the study of weather. Because I've always, and I still do, I find weather fascinating. It's amazing the process that happens for different weather systems to happen. For example, right now we're about to experience a atmospheric river coming from Hawaii, bring us a lot of rain pretty soon. And I love stuff like that. I love information on it. But what ended up happening is I got a letter from University of Miami saying that they liked the application, but they were full. So they wanted me to apply the next year. So I said, okay, I'll go ahead and do that. And I got into Cal State Long Beach. I said, I'll just do a year here and then transfer over. And shortly after that, that was when, of course, the whole depression hit, or the recession, they're calling it. And, money got weird. So I said, you know what, I want to go ahead and stay at Cal State Long Beach. It's a little bit easier financially. And that'll probably be best for me. So I stayed here at Cal State Long Beach. And I really didn't know what I wanted to major in here at Cal State for a good while. Eventually, I landed on journalism after I took a few classes in the department. And I also ended up getting invited to come on down here one day, back when we were still K-Beach branded. And we, they had a live band here, and they invited me to come see the band. And I met a nice person named Ms., who showed me showed me here at K-Beach at the time, which is now 22 West Radio, showed me at the then Union Weekly, which is now a magazine, and College Beat, which is now video. And this showed me everywhere around, and basically said, I'll be back. And I was like, okay, sure, maybe. And I just started coming around, and I would sit right outside, just watch, and Danny, Charlie, and I think Jeff Kaufman, they would do mornings on the beach, and Miz would come in too. Eventually, they invited me to come on the air, and basically, I haven't stopped talking since.
And how did you feel about the big view?
The big view, I do love it. It kind of feels like, we have big windows here, big picture windows. It kind of feels like we're in the middle of a cage a little bit sometimes. And it's, sometimes we get people to just watch us as we do, especially the little kids that come on tour, which to me, that's one of the best things ever, to watch the little kids come by. Because they're just excited by everything. They're like, oh my God, you guys got a radio station. I want to be on the radio. And everything. It's so much. And I love the picture of the window. And it leads to some shenanigans. It definitely does. I also do the morning show. We had a dude we had people outside studying sometimes. And our show plays out on the speakers outside in the lobby. And we could just call people out on the radio and ask them to do something crazy, and they would do it. And it was amazing. So these windows, they lead to some really great shenanigans sometimes.
Cool. So, you were mentioning how you were deciding on which field you wanted, and what stuck out about journalism?
For me, I watch a lot of news. I've always watched the news, and that was another thing that seemed interesting. It didn't seem as interesting as meteorology. I'm going to admit that. But being able to go out and I'm seeing people like talk about different stories, either sometimes the not so fun ones like the crime stories and someone who shot somebody and killed them, stuff like that. That's not really what I want to do, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to do that. But the stuff that causes the impact, like, oh, these people, there's a family right here that is losing their house because they're not getting their money from the government. The government was supposed to owed them this money. For example, like this, the most recent with this veteran that's happening right now. So they lost his records in a fire 70 years ago, and they want him to provide all of his records for his employment, like in the military. And if he doesn't get that, he won't get the money that he needs to stay in his place. Stories like that actually can affect people and that can help bring change. That's how I fell in love with the profession, and because I feel being able to, if you're going to have a platform, I feel being engaged with your community and knowing your community and being able to positively affect your community. That is what you're supposed to do with your platform of media, and that's what stuck out with me as a journalist, because as journalists, you're supposed to be able to use your platform for good, and it's supposed to spark a positive change in your community, and that's pretty much why I went out to journalism.
So, you mentioned how you were a guest on shows and stuff.
Mhm.
Was there a time though where you were bashful and did you talk only a little, and it took you a while to go ahead and decide, yeah, I'm gonna host my own show?
Definitely, definitely. When I first started, I really didn't talk too much. I basically answered a question, and they said hi, hello, yes, I did that. Just the small answers, and I really didn't talk too much, and I put everything through a massive filter. Okay, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I should say that. And now it's almost like second nature of talking. But yeah, I definitely, there's a time when I really didn't say much of anything. And then, working with the people that we work around here, which everyone's so nice and friendly, if somebody said something that, and I was like, that got me this open up and start talking, and that just and then I just kind of stuck with it. I don't remember what the topic was at all, but it was something enough to get me to the point where I say, I had to throw out my 2 cents on the matter, and that's what got me talking, and I basically haven't stopped. And it's something that I enjoy here.
So, I always have fun with having guests be here, especially when I used to do that even in my old station in community college. Once in a while, I'd interview people from my own station, because I also like to, get them to, share about, their accomplishments as well. You've been associated with, different shows and stuff. Tell us about your accolades and stuff.
Oh God, this may take a minute. So, I've been fortunate to be here for a good little while. Not used to the best of circumstances, usually financial things kind of slowed things down at school for me. But with that, I've been able to be associated with the radio station here a little bit longer than most people. But through that, I've had the chance to do many people's shows, work on different people's shows as producers, and I've done my own show as well. Some of the big things, I've had a chance to go to New York one year for the Intercollegiate Broadcast System Awards. And that year, I think that was the first year we did the trip to New York. And we won, we came back with about 7 or 8 trophies that year. And that was really amazing and a big thing for me. But I think probably the biggest one that happened with me it kind of fulfilled most of what I think journalists should do. I was able to be part of a special that we had here for a show called Ms. Representin' with my friend Ms. And we basically did a show about police officers. It was around the time we had some, and we still do. We had some times like when police was shooting, unarmed black people. There were a lot of different shootings and different protests. So when the show was pitched to me to help out with, it was basically Ms. said, I want to do a show. I want to do a little special and make it something positive, because we all have all these other negative things about cops all over the place. I want to do something that shows the other side of that. Shows the part that, because there's a lot of, all we see on the news are what the bad cops do. All we see are like the ones that do stuff like the Fernando Castillo. We always see the ones that did stuff to people like that. And we want to do something positive. So we brought in officers from our University Police Department. We brought in Officer Dickerson, Officer, I can't remember what his last name is, but I know his first name, Officer Virgil, as well as retired Sergeant Kyrus, who's now retired right now. And we also brought in another officer that was visiting from Dallas PD, and we also had another officer from Long Beach PD who had a program called Why'd You Stop Me? And as well as we brought in Dr. Salceda from the Multicultural Affairs Office. And we sat down in the room, and we had a conversation for about 2 hours, and we edited it up a bit, and we basically talked about, what things people don't know about police officers. Process that they have to do. Things that happen when they stop you. Things that can determine whether a stop goes good, whether a stop goes bad. Things that we can do as a public to help prevent stops from going bad. We talked about laws of our recording of officers. And we also talked about, and I found this part interesting, we talked about why it's so hard to find and get rid of bad cops, because they do know those exist in the department. And one of the biggest things that stuck in that conversation for me was they know who the bad cops are, but it's harder to get them out of that because they don't know who they know. Because they may know someone's like their superior, and then they get pretty much like a bad rap on them, which it makes sense. That happens in pretty much every employment. If you report someone to the wrong person, you'll get like a hostile work environment type of stuff. And we also had a chance to interview the police chief of Long Beach, Chief. I cannot think of the guy's name right now. What's the police chief's name? Anyway, I can't remember. But we interviewed, it's the current chief of Long Beach PD, and we interviewed him. And we ended up submitting this to the RTNA, Radio and Television News Association, and we won the Golden Mike in Category B for Best Public Affairs Service. And so we went to the award dinner. We all went, and it was the same awards. You see KTLA, KCBS, KCAL9, KABC, all the big TV stations, the radio stations, NPR. They are all in that room, and they called her name up to go pick up the award, and it was so much. It was so fun, and it was the same year that Bob Eubanks and Stephanie Edwards won their Lifetime Achievement Award. So I think that's definitely one of the biggest accomplishments that I've had the chance to be part of here at 22 West, and that's something that is just amazing.
Another question I ask my guests is, it's a two-part question. It's
Right.
Where do you see yourself after retirement?
After retirement, I'm not even at employment yet. After retirement, I don't know. I mean, I basically kind of I see myself being able to chill at a nice little house somewhere in Southern California, because I love the weather here and I don't want to move anywhere else. Just having the grandkids over and whatnot. I don't really know. I haven't even thought about retirement yet. I'm still trying to get employment after college. So.
Okay,
I don't
and the
know.
other part is, what would you like your legacy to be?
I think I have a two-part answer for that. One is I I wanted to be someone that cares about the community, always wants something for the better of people in their community. The other thing is I'm a really big person on faith, and I grew up in the church. I'm always in the church, and for me, the other part I like to see is that someone that has lived a life for Christ. That's the other big thing, I'm always willing to help people out, and just for the glory of God. That's those two things. That's pretty much what I would like my legacy to be.
You mentioned, you have been here for quite some time, yeah, I didn't learn, till like late in life in community college, that I too had a learning disability.
Mhm.
So I struggled with, at least now I knew why I struggled with certain classes.
Mhm.
So I was wondering what tips do you have for people who they feel discouraged, they've been in school too long?
I find myself discouraged myself. So, but basically, just keep going. Everybody does it at their own time, and I found, I didn't find out too. Also, a few years ago, I had another learning disability on top of ADHD. I found I had been diagnosed with Asperger's. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But I've learned that everyone's going to take things at their own pace. It's not everybody can do it in the full 4 years that say, oh, you should be out by college. All you need to do is just keep going, keep on going, keep pushing. Don't you stop for that, because you work yourself to get that piece of paper, and then you're good to go. Not everyone can do it at the same pace, but it doesn't. At the end, it doesn't even matter what pace you do it at, as long as you finish. So that's basically my biggest encouragement that I can give.
And what is that? Is that one for math, or what is that?
For
The condition you mentioned.
So Asperger's is apparently it's on the autism spectrum, and it's one of the higher functioning versions of autism, and so basically what that involves is generally people with Asperger's, they don't really do too much eye contact. They don't usually they can't always read different facial and body expressions, things like that. And I've kind of, for the most part, I don't really do too well with that. I've kind of learned a few things that what to look for and things like that, so I can kind of guess with some cues and whatnot. But not everything. I never really talk about this on the air, but not everything always clicks. If that makes sense. What some person would see as that they're making a good joke, and if everybody in the room is getting the joke, for example, I may be the one is this just a statement of fact? It doesn't really seem like it makes sense, and just things like that. Sometimes I tend to overanalyze stuff just because it's just part of it. Things like that. I don't really know anything different, really. I've just been living it forever, so it's kind of hard for me to explain how I deal with it, really.
Yeah, I know that for a while I felt bad too. I was tired of becoming the subject of discussion at
Mhm.
family outings and
Mhm.
friends and stuff. It would never fail. Eventually, they'd be like, "So why are you still in school? So and so finished their degree. Why
Uh-huh.
haven't you? So and so's
Yeah.
moved on to the next degree. What's going on with you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I wish I had an explanation. I don't have." At the time, I didn't know that I had
Mhm.
learning disabilities,
Mhm.
and so I just felt bummed out, and it was to the point where I just didn't want to go any outside to socialize and go to family gatherings.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah.
tough.
I think I was lucky in a sense where, with my parents, since I've been diagnosed with ADHD, which we knew about that. They've always been really big on making sure I take care of myself and whatnot, and so that was always a good thing. I don't think I really got anybody getting on me for taking forever in school, so I guess it's another thing I was kind of lucky about. I have had people that ask me when are you going to finish, but other than that, they haven't really just gone anything and hounded me about it. So I guess I've just been lucky in that sense. So I don't really have any good tips for that. But, just hey, you do at your own pace, I guess.
Obviously, it's always great to put in some plugs for our services here on campus.
Mhm.
Tell us about, obviously they had a name change. DSS is now BMAC. I'm not used to saying BMAC, but tell us about it.
I can't, because I've never really registered with them.
Oh,
And that's probably something I probably should have done, but I just never got around to it. So I figure I'm almost done with school now. I have one more year, so I may as well just finish it out. So I can't really talk about it. I do know though that if there's anything that they have all types of different services that you can apply for and help out with. I think did they move
yeah, new
caps
building.
over there too?
Yeah, there's a new building now,
Yeah.
upper campus.
Yeah, and they're going to be doing the not the groundbreaking, the ribbon cutting for that next week on Friday. So that's going to be a pretty fun event.
I always think it's pretty cool, to encounter someone that, I could relate to about, the learning disabilities. It's the whole idea, you're never too old to finish a goal and, don't let anything stop you from
Yeah, definitely.
accomplishing what you want to accomplish and stuff. What's next for you after graduating?
After graduating, I guess I'm going to try to get a job. One of my biggest goals right now is I want to be able to work at KTLA. Every time I see them on the air, I like their style. I like the way they communicate on air. I like the way they have the chemistry on the air. And I can tell that their personalities is they love to have fun on the air, and they know when to switch the fun off when it comes time to talk about serious, heartbreaking news. And they have that sense of balance. So I think that'd be a pretty fun place to go to work. So that's one of my goals right now.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here. Any closing statements you have for our audience?
I don't really have anything else closing. I mean, it's always great to be here. I appreciate the chance to be on the show, and just keep whatever you're doing, just keep on going and keep finishing out. It's going to work out, and it's going to be better.
He's being very humble. Let's plug his show. Let's plug his
that's
show.
that's what you meant. Okay, that's what you meant. Thank you. You can't say. You have to say it plainly to me. Okay, so I host Blessed Lord of Me. It's every Wednesday at 2 p.m. And it's right here on 22 West, and I do gospel music. So I come on, just give you that midweek and praise and encouragement, give you that chance to just forget about what's happening in life, put that down for a second, give praise to the Most High, and also it's that encouragement we need, especially when we're getting close to midterms and finals. So that's what I do, as well as Good Morning Long Beach State, which is every Wednesday every week at 8 a.m. I host Wednesday mornings, and that's another fun show. So listen out to those two great shows. It's a lot of fun.
He was being very humble. He does a lot here.
If I were to plug everything, we'd run out of time. We only have about a minute and a half. So we could, if we had more time, I can go down the list of everything I do, but we ain't got time for that, unfortunately. You have your other show after this. I'll run into that.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
Sure thing. I appreciate the invite. I really do.
Oh, how can people find you on social media for your show and stuff?
So for Blessed Lord of Me, just search on Facebook, Blessed Lord of Me. Or you can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter is kind of my gaming handle, @musicdrummer, the number 0, number 1. And I also stream on Twitch at the same handle. So.
You see, he forgot to talk about video games barely.
Well, yeah. That might have to be a part 2. There's so much we could talk about.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Sure thing.